Activision and Call of Duty have just released the community update. So this is a big blog post addressing the concerns of the community as they see them, a kind of way of reassuring people that they're working on the problems that people are worried about. Now, I think this is pretty terrible. I think it's a pretty terrible blog post, and in this video I'm going to break it down and just kind of go through all of the things that they're talking about changing, all the things they're talking about doing, and why it's not going to bring me back to Warzone. Like, I haven't really played Warzone at all, I don't think, since the new year started. And I've been playing, Grand Theft Auto 5, I streamed that for a while, I've been playing loads of Arma Reforger over the last week, and I've been having a great time with them, but it's not like I stopped playing Warzone because I was desperate to play other things. Instead, I just wasn't having any fun in Warzone, and I was desperate to find other things to play. And as far as I know, none of my friends seem to be playing Warzone right now. People who watch me stream don't seem to be playing Warzone right now. It feels like a lot of people have kind of given up on it. Now, this update, just to give a kind of high-level overview of it, a lot of it's fluff. A lot of it's like, yeah, we're working on this, but there's nothing substantial, just kind of, yeah, we know there's a problem, but we're gonna fix it. The same sort of stuff that they've been saying for years, since 2020 when Warzone launched. And then there's some stuff that is more concrete. Some stuff where they're saying, yep, this is what we're changing in the game at the beginning of Season 2. And to me, those things are the worst things, because they show a kind of direction that the game is moving in, and it seems like this is the direction that they want the game to go forward in. They keep talking about foundational changes and making it so it's kind of something they can build on for the future. And to me, they're going in completely the wrong direction for a game that I would want to play. Now, I've always said I don't think people who make video games or movies or write books or make TV shows or whatever should listen to the community. I think while you can get, people in the community can give you a decent idea of whether they like a game or not, we're really terrible at saying what they should do differently. We don't understand the technology behind it. We don't understand how much resources they have, how long things take, what's already in the pipeline. We just don't have any of that information. So we're very, very bad at saying they should change this, they should change that. And it frustrates me when I see developers listening to the community. So while in this video I am going to talk about what I would prefer they did, please don't take this as me saying, oh, I hope Activision listens and I hope they change things based on what I say. That's not it at all. I'm just saying what I would have preferred, to make me play the game more. What they're doing isn't going to make me play the game. I'm sure they know what they're doing. I'm sure they know how to make lots and lots of money. Surely they're doing something like they've worked out, this is going to make them more money, this is going to make them more successful. But it's not the direction that I wish the game would make, and it's not a direction that's going to make me want to play more Call of Duty in 2025. Right now, my plans are kind of, I'll keep playing zombies when a new map comes out. We'll get a new map at the beginning of Season 2. We'll talk about that a little bit more later. So that's definitely a thing that I will be playing, and I'll probably dip back into Warzone whenever they do something new, when they bring Verdansk back, or if they do any other new maps or stuff like that. But I can't imagine it being my main game that I play anymore. I just can't imagine going back to playing Warzone every day like I used to. I just don't see that happening this year at least. So let's get on and let's look at the update together. So this is the blog post. It's pretty substantial. So let's just go through each kind of section one by one. So the first one is they're talking about Ricochet. They're talking about anti-cheat, and they've said things there like they've put in updated detection models for behavioral systems like aimbotting and stuff. They've banned 136,000 ranked play accounts since ranked launched, a few weeks ago. Enhanced cross-examination tools to make it faster to action accounts. They did put one interesting thing in here, where in this section they talk about how spam reporting doesn't actually do anything. And this is something that I've suspected for a long while, that it seems stupid, the idea that they would let someone report someone more than once. If you report someone, the system should flag up that you've reported them, and that should be it. If you report them lots of times, why would that ever be a good system? So they're just confirming here that, yeah, you can report someone once or you can report someone 10,000 times, doesn't make the slightest bit of difference. So when you hear from the cheat manufacturers that they've developed a cheat that lets you spam report someone and get them immediately banned from the game, that's not true. And similarly, when you hear of people saying, oh, I killed someone and they spam reported me with their friends and then they got me banned, that doesn't seem to be true either. That's just not how the system works. Even though a lot of people kind of use their common sense and think, oh yeah, that must be what's going on. they're just confirming here that that doesn't work. That's not how this works. I always like it when they clear up stuff like that. I always like it when they sort of just confirm, hey, this thing that lots of content creators are going around saying, that's not true. Like, that is just absolutely not true. And then it also says new detection and warning systems for repeat playing with cheaters. So they're saying if you're the sort of person who you don't cheat, but maybe you get friends who cheat, or you get people who use accounts to boost yours because they're cheating and then you're in ranked with them. If you're playing with cheaters a lot, then that will start making it so they look at your account too. It doesn't specifically say that you will be banned for playing with cheaters, because obviously you might not know, but if you're doing it lots, it looks like they'll be at least investigating your account. They also confirmed that they're not doing IP-based bans because it's unfair. You know, someone could go to like a gaming cafe or something like that and get the entire cafe banned, or people on university campuses could get the entire campus banned. Stuff like that would absolutely suck. And then they talk about the fact, yep, there's new stuff coming in Season 2, new kernel level driver updates. When they talked about this a few weeks ago, I did see some people saying, oh, they're finally doing a kernel level anti-cheat. No, like, it's always been a kernel level anti-cheat. Ricochet was from the very beginning. They're just saying they're updating it. They're updating the drivers. So to me, this is, you know, that information about spam reporting not working and you playing with cheaters could get you in trouble. That's kind of interesting. But all this stuff about we are making the anti-cheat better, it's kind of meaningless. They're always saying that. There's always been a cheating problem in Warzone. It gets worse sometimes, it gets better sometimes. They rightfully say they can't really talk about what they're doing. They're saying there, as they get closer to Season 3, they'll talk a bit more about it, but they don't want to give people, like, advance warning. And it's fair enough that they can't talk about the anti-cheat, but you can see it from playing in the game. Like, there are a lot of people cheating in the game right now. There's lots of people selling cheats that they're guaranteeing will work. Like, clearly, whatever they're doing with the anti-cheat isn't working well enough. I've kind of been of the opinion for a while now that they can't fix this problem, that it just seems like there's too much money in it, there's too many people developing cheats. I don't think it's that the Ricochet team aren't good enough or anything like that. It just seems like it's an impossible problem. You know, it's like shops trying to stop shoplifting. It's like you could do more and more draconian measures that affect everyone who's shopping legitimately in the shop, but people are still going to find ways to steal stuff. That's just how that works. You can't just stop it entirely. There's no solution to that. And so I've always thought they need to do things to change the gameplay, you know, whether that's letting you play against bots more than real people and stuff like that, or having whitelisted servers and stuff. I don't know, but it feels like they need to do those kind of changes rather than just investing more and more into an anti-cheat that doesn't seem to be working. But anyway, that's the first part of this. Then they talk about server stability a bit, and it's just them saying, yeah, we're going to make the servers better. Again, I assume they're always doing that, so I don't think any of this is kind of news exactly. Them saying, oh yeah, we know the servers are bad, we're making them better, and that's it. They don't say anything particularly about upgrading the servers in terms of performance or anything like that. It seems to be much more like, okay, they're trying to find ways to stop like DDoSing on the servers, which apparently has been a big problem. I don't really know. I never know whether it's just a normal server crash or a DDoS type thing. And apparently there's been some problems with servers in regions with low populations and stuff like that. But anyway, doing that. They talk about voice moderation. This was the first bit where I read it and I was like, I'm not a big fan of this. They're saying that they are looking at the voice chat moderation system. Lots of people have complained that they want to trash talk people and the voice chat thing bans them, and they think that's unfair because they're like, oh, well, and my characters in game swear and my characters in game are trash talking, why can't I? And anyone, literally anyone who's ever played Call of Duty and had voice comms on knows exactly what the problem is. That there's a lot of people who their idea of trash talking is just hurling abuse at strangers on the internet. You know, they're just like, whether they're misogynistic, whether they're homophobic, whether they're racist. A lot of them probably don't even realize that they're being that. You know, they're using language that they don't think about the consequences of. They assume that everyone else who's playing is like a white, straight man or boy, probably, those people. But they think everybody's like them. And then when they're hurling this abuse out, they don't really think about how that could affect anyone else. And I think there's been a problem in general with the kind of younger generations where they've got this idea that banter is insulting strangers. And, you know, it's not. Banter is about friends who know each other's boundaries, they know each other's limits, and they kind of push up to them, but they don't break past them. That's what banter is. That's how that works. It's a kind of thing that you do with your friends that you know and trust, and you know not to overstep the line. When you're talking to strangers, you're just abusing them. You're just hurling abuse at them. And so this idea of trash talk, I think... The idea of trash talk, okay, fair enough, people being like, hoo-hoo, get good, or like, yeah, we beat you, or like, watch this, I'm gonna absolutely destroy you in the next round. That, I don't think anyone would argue with, is perfectly okay. But as soon as you start throwing slurs around, as soon as you start, like, just insulting people you don't know, I think that that is a problem. But in this paragraph they say, players should have the freedom to trash talk, and we're constantly working with our teams to make sure moderation is solely targeting conversations that veer into derogatory territory. This idea that they're trying to point out that they are saying people should have freedom to trash talk, I feel like that's a mistake. I feel like they are going to give people open license where people will just say, oh, it's just trash talk. You know, it's just trash talk, it's fine. And you know the sorts of people that will say that. I'm sure anyone watching this video knows the sorts of people that will be like, oh, it's just trash talk, it doesn't matter what I said. And it's like, yeah, it kind of does. Like, Call of Duty's always had this reputation. Well, not always, but like since at least Modern Warfare. It's had this reputation for people being abusive. Like, people just, little nerdy kids being abusive to people. And that has been a problem with Call of Duty for a long while. And the people who are doing it don't see it as a problem. They think it's great. They love hurling abuse at each other. They think it's awesome. The problem is that, like, the wider population then looks at Call of Duty and is like, oh, it's full of, like, these really toxic idiots. Like, this is horrible. And I remember, like, the thing that put me off competitive Call of Duty really, really early on. I can't remember what game it was. I watched a bit of kind of, it was before CDL, but it was that kind of thing, you know, the official Call of Duty tournament early on. And then the people on stage, when one team won, they were like screaming at the other people. And it was a bunch of, you know, like these little pasty kids. They look like kids to me, like young men standing up, screaming at each other, just being so unbelievably toxic. And that was immediate. As soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, I don't want any part of that ever. I was actually really surprised when I went to COD Next in 2022, and I was lucky enough to get invited to that. I didn't actually see any of that. Everyone was super friendly, everyone was nice and chilled to each other. It feels like Call of Duty can exist without all of the toxicity, without all of that, you know, trash talk, as they say. You can do it without that, but some people seem to think that it's an essential part of it. And here, I feel like Activision are maybe giving people a bit more license to be like that, which I think is, you know, maybe a mistake. But anyway, so that's part of it. Now they talk about Black Ops 6 updates. Now we're getting into the weeds of some specific things. So these are things that are coming for Season 2 launch. There's some good things, like the challenge tracker's coming back. I don't want to give them too much credit for it, because why did the challenge tracker go? The whole point of always using the same engine, always building on the last games, was meant to be that we keep this stuff. And I actually talk about that a little bit in this. But like the challenge tracker was a good example of something we had in Modern Warfare 3, where you could set challenges to be tracked that you could see in game, and then they just took it away when Black Ops 6 launched, which just seems stupid to me. But anyway, that's coming back. And the HUD preset settings for multiplayer and zombies, fair enough. Reduce collision with teammates so you don't bump into people, fine. Weapon balance passes. It feels like we haven't actually had a proper weapons balance pass since the game launched, since Black Ops 6 launched back in October, which was quite a long while ago now. It feels like we've had quite a long time with no weapon balance patch. But anyway, then they start talking about some things that we'll get to more of later, but further reducing weapon motion when jumping, sliding and diving. Obviously Black Ops 6, all about omni movement. They want to make it so if you've got the dexterity perk, that you can do all of those things without having a penalty to your movement, without having a penalty to your aim. So expect people to be moving around a lot in a lot more extreme ways as we go on, but more about that later. Some stuff about Warcry. They want to make sure they keep Stakeout 24/7 in feature playlist all the time. They're going to have a small map mosh pit for the camo grinders, like set stuff up for them. Okay, fair enough. All of that stuff, don't really care too much. Now, this is an interesting one. For ranked play in multiplayer, and they're doing this in Warzone too, they're going to make it so you can disable crossplay for console players. So if you're on PlayStation, you can turn crossplay off and play ranked. They changed that at the beginning of Black Ops 6. They were like, okay, if you're playing ranked, you have to have crossplay on. They sort of said it's so there's like competitive fairness or something, you know, because otherwise the top 250 would be full of people, legit players at least, who are on console because it's easier because you don't have to come up against cheaters. They wanted to make it fair so everyone had to play on a crossplay servers. I think the reality is that there weren't enough players to make ranked work. Ranked has a really hard job with matchmaking because if you play ranked a lot of the time, when you're in, say, Silver 2, you'll come up against mostly players who are in Silver 2. And that carries on all the way up, in my experience at least, all the way up until Diamond. So all the way up until Diamond, you tend to come up against people who, like, within one rank of you. And then it starts getting a bit broader because there's less people in Diamond and above. I don't think with crossplay off, it was possible to make servers that could do that. So I think with this, they're basically saying, okay, we're going to let you disable crossplay again. I imagine if you're playing ranked with crossplay off, you're going to end up coming up either against people with very different connections to you, so there's going to be like crazy connections to servers, because it'll have to cast the net wider to find a game. You'll have longer matchmaking times, and I imagine, you know, if you're in silver, you'll start coming up against people who are in gold and platinum and stuff like that. I think the matchmaking will work less well, because it's going to have a harder time finding people. You know, and obviously that's going to be compounded on PC, because you're taking probably most people who play ranked on PlayStation are going to turn crossplay off, so people on PC are going to have a much harder time finding games. So yeah, I think that will be a bit of a pain for people who are doing ranked, but you know, I can understand why, because it is kind of just a problem. If you want to play ranked, it's very, very frustrating getting killed by a cheater. So, oh well. There's some other stuff there about you'll be able to vote to forfeit, you'll be able to rejoin ranked play and stuff like that. In terms of zombies, they briefly mentioned that we've got a new map coming at the beginning of Season 2. I am excited about that. I'm going to be going into it again with Dalek, with the same crew that we did the last 3 maps. We're going to be going in day 1, trying to get world's first, all of that good stuff. Have to say what they've shown off about the new map, Tomb, I'm not excited about. Like, looking at it, I just see it's a dusty hole in the ground. And they've said it's going to be a smaller map like Liberty Falls is. And they made a big deal of, you know, how Liberty Falls is the most played zombies map in the last few years, which I completely believe. But Liberty Falls is at least interesting because, you know, it's an American town. We haven't really seen that since Transit. That's a kind of cool setting. An archaeological dig sort of thing for Tomb, I don't think sounds that exciting. They're talking, you know, we'll have all of these underground tomb areas. We kind of already had that in Citadel de Mort. So far, what they've shown off about the map doesn't look very exciting to me. I could be wrong. Maybe there's some really interesting enemies. Maybe there's some really interesting wonder weapons, although it said that it was a wonder weapon coming back, so I guess it's not something new. I'm just not feeling that excitement for it yet. I'm only as excited about it as in it's a new map to play through. We'll get to solve an Easter egg. That'll be kind of fun. There'll be a new cutscene. That'll be fun to see what happens. But there's nothing about the map that's making me really excited yet. It's not a setting that's making me excited for it. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. It's coming out at the beginning of Season 2, so the end of January. I'll be going for World's First. Come check out the stream and stuff like that. I'll summon up some excitement ready for that stream. Then there's some other stuff. Co-op pauses coming in. There's some bug stuff. It's interesting here they say they're keeping new zombies content coming throughout the post-launch seasons. That's kind of interesting, I think. That to me sounds a bit like we will have content every season. Not necessarily a map, although it would be cool if we ended up getting a new map every single season. That would be awesome. But I don't want to get my hopes up too much. Now we get into the bit where I think there is a significant problem with the game. So this is the Warzone updates, and this is the bit that I think is the worst part of all of this. So they said that for Season 2, they've made the decision to prioritise focus on gameplay tuning, adding more quality of life, and addressing ongoing bugs. So new content originally planned for Season 2 has been shifted to create bandwidth to address foundational issues. So they're saying, we did have new content for Warzone coming Season 2, but we're going to push that back so we can change the foundations of Warzone, shore them up to get them as good as possible, and then we'll bring out new content. So basically, there's not going to be much for Warzone in Season 2. That's what it sounds like to me. Which is a shame. Not getting new stuff sucks, and we haven't had much new stuff in Warzone for a very long time. You know, the Black Ops 6 integration, they made a big deal that it was like one of the biggest things ever that they did that. To me, it didn't really change the game that much, and I don't think the game has changed all that much for a couple of years now, and I think that's a real shame. They seem to have slowed down the rate of change in the game, and yeah, I think that's a shame. Remember back in the years of like Warzone 1, when we had Verdansk and we had Caldera, it felt like we were constantly getting like new points every season. Where there'd be some new area on the map to explore. The stadium opened in Verdansk, or they added the metro stations, or they changed little bits, or they moved stuff around. It felt like that was happening quite regularly. And on Urzikstan, they changed the power plant, then put it back. They changed Superstore, then got rid of it again. That's kind of it. Oh, the bunkers. They opened the bunkers and then they sealed the bunkers again. It just feels like we're playing the same thing that we've been playing for a long while. But yeah, no new content. Instead, they're going to make the most solid foundation, and this is maybe the most worrying phrase out of all of this, the most solid foundation, coupled with what they're actually changing, doesn't sound great to me. So, they said here that they wanted Warzone's a constantly evolving game, and they wanted to keep things fresh, but it also comes with a set of challenges. Regular changes come with the risk of shifting the game away from what some players may consider their sweet spot, altering mechanics and features that once defined the game for them. And so they're saying they want to kind of get the balance of innovation while preserving the core DNA that makes the game uniquely Warzone. To me, that's a load of nonsense. The whole thing of like keeping the game what made Warzone is ridiculous, because people got burnt out on that game. People got bored. I got bored of that game. And so trying to go back to the game that we got bored of a few years ago feels like a stupid thing to me. But apparently that's what they want to do. So reload speeds are going to be from 5 to 20% faster. Reduced penalty when you sprint to fire when you sprint to fire, going from 35% to just 10%. That's pretty huge, so when you're sprinting you'll be able to fire much quicker. And increased jump ADS speeds by 25%. The intent is to find a middle ground of being able to pull off jump shots without it being the meta movement strategy. So you'll be able to sprint and jump and shoot, and you'll be able to jump and ADS, and all of that will happen much faster. Bullet penetration will be adjusted to make it more consistent. I don't know if that means you'll be able to shoot through less buildings or more. I'm not really sure. Weapon swap speed will be increased by 10%, effectively replicating the effect of Quick Grip Gloves perk. Removed burst and semi-auto rifles and low rarity pistols from ground loot, so all the ground loot you'll be able to find will be fully automatic. Movement, they're going to increase jump speed and successive jump height with one unmodified successive jump. Increase the speed of the parachute cut, so you can cut a parachute and ready your weapon faster. Increase player velocity when landing from a cut parachute for smoother transition into full sprint. Reducing reverb so you can hear stuff a little bit more clearly. Combat Scout is going to be changed so you'll get an outline, but it won't go through people's walls. They're adding dexterity as a default perk. They said they've made it default for all Warzone players, so I guess that means everybody's got dexterity. I don't really understand how that works, but anyway, that's a thing. Mountaineer is now going to be a slot 1 perk, so you'll be able to survive from falls a little bit more. Veteran reduces the damage ticks of gas grenades. Munitions gives you less items. Maximum deployed tacticals going down. Gas grenade radius duration and movement penalties are being reduced. Spy camera, you won't be able to see through walls anymore. Advanced UAVs will show elevation arrows, so you'll be able to see if someone's above or below you. And then they're changing some body shield stuff. They're making it so you can ping flares, and they are changing the font of the stat trackers. I don't care about that. Not all of these, but most of these seem to be about making it so you can jump about quicker, you can move quicker, you can cut your parachute so land on people quicker. This feels like they're making a bunch of changes so the players who have that kind of super aggressive rushing playstyle, where they'll be getting an advanced UAV, then they'll be pulling out a redeployed drone, then flying over and landing on people, then killing them as fast as possible, and then moving on to the next. That sort of playstyle that works quite well for streamers and people who go for kill races and people, getting as many kills as possible. It feels like they are buffing that style of gameplay. They're making it so people who are like jump shotting, people who are like landing in on people are gonna have more advantages. They're getting rid of some of that RNG when you land by making all of the floor loot really, really strong, so all gonna be automatic stuff. It feels like they're making it so people who are good at the game, people who are really good at the game, are going to be better. They're giving them sort of more tools, more sort of bonuses to make them stronger. That, to me, is the exact opposite of what Warzone needs. For me, at least, part of the reason I don't enjoy Warzone much anymore is that everybody is super good at it. So when I go on, I'll often land, maybe get killed straight away and go into Gulag and then have to regain somewhere. Or maybe I'll loot up for 10 minutes and then a team will land on me and absolutely destroy me. And it doesn't matter that, like, I can probably hold my own in a one-on-one gunfight against, like, half the lobby or so. It just takes one or two teams who are flying around, doing contracts, getting advanced UAVs, using redeployed balloons all the time to be hunting around the map before I'm just prey, essentially. I'm not as fast as them, I'm not as quick as them, I can't react as quickly as them, I'm not as good at aiming as they are. They can absolutely destroy me, and they are now making those people stronger. So I'm just not going to play. It's not like I'm going to be like, oh, well, I want to be like them. I want to get good. I don't really enjoy that playstyle that much. I don't have the reaction speed anymore. I'm just too old, probably. My aim isn't that good. I'm not going to enjoy playing if it's easier for people to land on me and absolutely destroy me and hunt me out so quickly. If I can't play a slightly sort of slower way of doing it, if I can't play the way I want to play it, then it's not like I'm going to try and adapt and sort of like get better at the game so I can compete with them. I'm just going to play something else. I'm just going to absolutely stop. So I feel like this is probably moving in the wrong direction. I feel like this is Activision and the developers, whether this is Raven, I assume, or Treyarch or Infinity Ward or whoever writing this, saying like, hey, we are going to be trying to focus on the best players. We're going to be focusing on those people who are already dominating and help them to dominate more, help them to get higher kill streaks. You know, maybe it's good for them. Maybe if they see videos on YouTube of like, oh my god, I got 70 kills in a game, maybe that's the thing that they think is going to attract more people to the game. But to me, as probably one of those 70 people that gets killed, I don't want to play that. I'm not interested in being in games against those people. I'm not interested in being in games where those people are helped. To me, they should be doing the other way around. They should be doing it like Mario Kart does it, you know, where people who are at the back get sped up a little bit. They get the better items. They get to sort of like catch up to keep the game as close as possible. Instead, it seems like they're intent on making the skill gap as big as possible so people can show off if they've practiced, if they're really good at the game, if they've got like a good communicating squad and all of that kind of thing. And then people who are struggling a bit at the moment will struggle even more. Because what I think will happen with this, why I think it's, you know, the wrong way of doing it, is that I think more people are in my situation. More people aren't the people who are going around dominating Warzone. While there's, you know, a loud vocal group of them on social media who will talk about this and say how fantastic this is and how wonderful it is, I think they really are the minority. You know, they're the top 10%. They're the people who were negatively affected by skill-based matchmaking and stuff like that. The rest of us, the other sort of 90% of people who maybe don't talk on social media about Call of Duty quite as much, who want to hop on with our friends and have a little bit of fun and stuff like that, we're the ones who are going to suffer from that, and we're the ones who are going to struggle from it, and so we'll just stop playing. And then the more people who are like lesser skilled, more people who aren't as good at the game stop playing, then the higher the average skill of players get. And then for those players who are dominating, they suddenly find, oh, they're not way better than everyone in their lobbies anymore. Instead, everyone in their lobbies is as good as them, and then they have less fun because now they can't get 70 kills in a game or 50 kills in a game. Now they're suddenly getting killed off the drop by other people who are as good as them. Then they stop playing as well because they just wanted to dominate and they can't do it. So more and more people quit the game. If they want to turn player retention around, if they want to get more players in, for me in Warzone, the biggest thing that they need to do is find ways to make the game easier. Find ways to make the game more accessible so more people can play, even if they're not very good, even if they haven't played very much of it before, or they're just like me and they're not very good at aiming and they're not very fast and stuff like that. Find ways that they can have fun in the game. Find ways to make it feel like they can win. Then they'll keep on playing the game and there'll be more people playing and everybody will have a better time. I don't think anybody wins when people want to quit the game because they're getting absolutely dominated. But that seems like that's the direction Warzone are going. I'd love to be proven wrong. I'd love for like some developer from Warzone to explain how this is going to make more people play the game, how this is going to make it more fun for people who aren't amazing at the game. But I just don't think it is. Now, they also talked about some bug fixes. I don't think there was anything that seemed super important to me. And the ranks changes. And this was a really interesting bit that I think I saw some people on Twitter maybe misinterpreting this, misunderstanding this. So I'm just going to read it through. They said, as a parting thought, we want to take a moment to reflect on the significance of Black Ops 6 integration, the largest in Call of Duty history, which for the first time has brought our teams and products together in a unified development environment. While this transformation has presented its share of obstacles, it also paves the way for more ambitious updates and closer collaboration in the future. We're essentially laying a foundation to make new technology immediately available to all of our studios, improving development pipelines and the stability of porting features between titles, and allowing us to focus more of our time on future releases. So some people I've seen have interpreted this as, oh, this is the first time that they're reusing technology for the next game. That, you know, they've finally got everything on the same page, and now from now on it will all be using the same engine. And people are like, oh, I thought that happened in Modern Warfare 2019. I thought that happened with Vanguard, with Modern Warfare 2, with Modern Warfare 3. And I've seen some people being like, that's weird that it's just happening now, but I'm glad it is. This is going to change everything. I don't think that's what this means at all. I think this just means Treyarch were the last studio that hadn't made a game on the Modern Warfare 2019 engine. When they made Black Ops Cold War, that was still on the Treyarch version of the engine, that was still on the separate one. Modern Warfare 2019 and Black Ops Cold War were not on the same engine. Then everything from Vanguard has been, and now it's just come around to Treyarch's time, so we finally now have Treyarch on board. Like, Treyarch have now made a game that is also on the same engine. So now Infinity Ward, Sledgehammer and Treyarch are all working on the same engine, and Raven with Warzone, obviously. I think that's all it means. So it's not like, oh, there's going to be some huge change for the next Call of Duty. We're not now going to have new releases where they don't break anything, new releases where they don't delete features that we've already had and stuff like that. I don't think that's what this means at all. I think they're just saying, oh yeah, we've been doing this, you know, for the last 6 years, we've been converting everyone to using the Modern Warfare 2019 engine, you know, the engine that's had all these problems with hacking and server instability and desync and hit reg and all the stuff that people have been complaining about. Now everybody's working on that one. Everybody has to use that one. So all of the problems that you see every year, yeah, we'll keep on having those same problems every single year. And for some reason, even when they fix stuff, like in Modern Warfare 3, when we had the challenge tracker, and with Urzikstan, they'd added bits to it and changed bits to it, and then we go to the Black Ops 6 integration, they're like, oh yeah, we're actually going to get rid of all of that because the companies that were working on their version of Warzone hadn't already been working on that version of the map. It feels like that's just going to keep on happening now. So, they've said we have ambitious plans and plenty of new content coming to Call of Duty in 2025. I feel like what they've laid out in this entire document is basically them saying, hey, this is the direction we're taking, and everything they've said that they're changing seems bad to me. Everything that they're talking about changing seems like, yep, they're going to help the most overpowered players, the most dominant players. They're going to help them to dominate even more. And everybody who's not been enjoying the game lately, all the people who have dropped off the game lately, screw you, we don't want you anyway. Like, that seems to be the vibe. This isn't talking about bringing people back to the game. This isn't talking about attracting new players or anything like that. This is about doubling down on that kind of core audience, doing what they want. So I'm sure those people, they might have a great time with this, they might be happy with it and good for them, but I can't see this is going to bring any players back. It's certainly not going to be bringing me back. So let me know in the comments what you think about all of this. I'd be interested to hear what people's thoughts are about this, because I've seen on Twitter some people being quite positive about it, and that surprised me a little bit, because this doesn't seem like a positive post. But let me know what you think about it. Let me know, maybe you think I'm off the mark about something, that I've got something wrong about this. Feel free to correct me in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe for more, and I'll see you for the next one. Goodbye.